Hi everyone, Kate here from Sew Into Overlocking. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on what I'm calling a mask extension band. So as most of you will know, Melbourne is in a lot of strife at the moment. We're in stage 4 lockdown due to COVID-19 and it is compulsory to wear a mask. So wearing masks for some people are fine, some people find it really difficult, and if you're in a work environment where you have to wear it all day, having the elastic rubbing around your ears can be a bit of an issue. So there's been a few things popping up in the marketplace, but I thought it's really easy to make something on the overlocker. Narrow elastic's really hard to get at the moment, but using an inch wide elastic to create this band, and there's plenty of wide elastic available. So we're going to take you through step by step how to make one of these. So the free download will be on my website, which is sewintooverlocking.com. So you'll be able to get all your requirements on that. But basically you need inch wide elastic. I'm cutting it to a 5-inch piece. 2 strips of fabric that are 1 3/4 inches by about 6 inches. So I've made it just a little bit longer than the piece of elastic that I'm working with. And 2 buttons, 2 safety pins, obviously your overlocker and sewing machine, and we're going to put some of these together. So I've had a few people ask me about doing a tutorial on making masks. There's so much out there, there's so many patterns, there's so many tutorials. I've sort of worked my way through it and I've found a couple of my favourite patterns, and I will put links to those up on my site as well. But basically for mine, I like the ones that have a seam down here because it actually sort of sits snugly from the bridge of your nose down to your chin, but it gives you a little bit of room that it's not sort of flat against your face. And I've also added wire in. Both the patterns that I've used didn't have wire, but I've added wire in as well. So what I've done is, this is the 4-piece version, and you basically cut 4 pieces the same and they have a curve. So you overlock your pieces together and then overlock across both the seams to join it. And then I've added in a 20 gauge florist wire because I couldn't get my hands on pipe cleaners or chenille sticks at the time, but I had plenty of florist wire here. So it is a coated wire. Really important when you're cutting it, obviously using pliers to cut it. If you have any jewellery tools where you can flatten the ends so that when you push it down you're not actually poking your face with it, you'll see there I've just done a 6mm wide zigzag to hold the wire in place. Then we turn it through and do a top stitch casing just to make sure the wire is actually going to sit there and not poke out. So there's all sorts of things going around about different types of filters. I have found the best filter product is the Matilda's Own mask filter product. So that's being made in the mill in Geelong in Victoria, and it's a nice light, basically like a really light wadding, and it's still easy to breathe, it's not too hot, and you can't blow a candle out through it. So with 2 layers of good quality woven cotton fabric and a layer of this, you can blow at a candle but not blow it out. So that is showing that you're getting filter protection. So I don't want to go too much into the whole mask thing because, as I said, there's a lot out there. Today it's more about making these bands. My mum struggled her first time of going out and having to put on a mask with hearing aids and glasses. It's really difficult around your ears. So that's the concept of these. And I've got my model waiting, so I'm going to actually show you how to use these. So I've got my gorgeous daughter Keely here, who's my mask wearing assistant. So I just wanted to show you how you would use the band. So currently she's got the mask on her face with the elastic sitting over the ears. So when you put one of these little bands on, what we're going to do is just hook the elastic around the button and then back like that. So that just sits really comfortably around the back of her head. It takes the pressure off the elastic actually rubbing on the ears, and nice and comfortable to wear. Yep, so I'm just going to spin her around so that you can see that the mask is still fitting really well on her face. Now if I just spin Keely back the other way, now the very first day that masks were compulsory in Melbourne, I had an appointment to get my hair done. So I found it quite challenging because obviously it was the first day we'd had to wear masks, and trying to, well, for the hairdresser, trying to actually put the colour on, wash and cut my hair, I unhooked the mask from my ears and was holding it on my face, which they say don't touch the mask with your hands. So I thought, well, if we made longer pieces like this for those instances. So what I'm going to do is just undo this here now and take the elastic around here, and the strap's going to sit down here at the back of the neck. It's probably somehow, I wouldn't wear it like this all the time, but for that instance, if you've got fabric that you really don't care if it gets hair colour on, or if it obviously gets wet while you're at the hairdressers, when we in Melbourne can go back to getting our hair done, but that's going to sit down there like that, means you're not having to hold the mask on your face. And I'm just going to spin Keely around now, so you can see that the mask is still fitting her really well. So it just might be an option for you if you're having to wear a mask and needing to get your hair done, and you probably use a disposable one in that instance. So if it gets colour on it, just throw it out and you're good to go. So here I am in front of the overlocker, all ready to go. If you've done Learning to Love your overlocker with me, open your workbook to the page on narrow hem, because that's the stitch we're going to be using to put these bands together. So if you haven't done that class with me, we're setting up almost for a rolled hem without doing the tension adjustments. So if you've got a machine with tensions, you're going to leave all your tensions on pretty much your standard 3 or 4, whatever your machine likes to sit happily at, with a balanced tension. We're removing the stitch finger. So on this Bernina, it's just simply a matter of sliding it back. If you have another brand machine, you might actually have to look up in your manual how to remove the stitch finger ready to do a rolled hem. The stitch length is sitting on between 1 and 1.5, so we're going to close the stitch length up a little bit, but leaving the tensions balanced will still give us a nice balanced stitch. And I'm using woven fabric, so my differential feed is going to be on 1. If you find that you're using a stretch, because I have actually used a stretch fabric here, and you know, jersey is always quite nice to work with, you may need to increase the differential feed if you find the fabric stretching, but you'd probably only go up to about 1.25, maybe 1.5 as a maximum, depending on the type of fabric that you're working with. If you're using a Baby Lock no tension machine, then you just simply change your stitch length around to the rolled hem side, and you would change your stitch selector to C. And that's will give you the perfect setting, and of course just the right needle. So we're going to place our fabrics with the wrong sides together, and you could do 2 different fabrics if you wanted to. So and we're going to trim just a small amount as we go. Okay, so that's one side done. Then we place it back, and again. Okay, so there's the 2 side seams done on the band. I have my elastic already cut to size, and what I've done is I've put a safety pin in each end, because what we're going to do now is feed it through that channel that we've made. So if you wanted to make a bulk lot of these, you could just cut the width of the fabric and obviously cut a great big long seam, and then cross cut the pieces into whatever your desired length for your strap is. So we're going to pull this through just until we get the pin through the other side. Okay, and we're going to have just a little bit of elastic sticking up there. What I'm going to do now is, because elastic can sometimes fling back and be a bit annoying, is I'm now going to move that pin to this position which is going to hold that elastic and stop it pulling back if you do pull from the other end. I'm now going to go and jump onto my sewing machine, and I'm going to do a row of straight stitching just along here. Because we're only using the 3 thread on the outside of this, I just feel it's not strong enough, and if you don't quite catch the elastic, you're going to have issues with the elastic coming undone. So what I'm going to do is just jump over to the sewing machine, sew this seam and sew this one as well, and then I'll come back to the overlocker. Okay, so here's my piece already sewn. I've sewn a straight row of stitching about 1/4 inch in, making sure that I'm catching both the ends of the elastic. And then we're going to sew straight across the short end and just trimming again as you go. Okay, so there's our little band finished. This is why I love overlooking, because everything's so quick. Now the last step is obviously we're going to have these ends, and a really quick and easy way of finishing is to use a fray stop or a fray check. My very favourite one is the Matilda's Own fray stop pen. So it just gives you a controlled amount of fray stop, because if you've ever been like me with the bottle, it can be quite disastrous if you cut too far down. But with this one, it's got the little silicone brush. You can easily get refills for it, and it just gives you a controlled amount. So that's going to dry, and then what I'm going to do is trim those edges off and then attach 2 buttons. So here's one I prepared earlier. So 2 buttons that you can then hook your elastic around. So with this you can position the buttons wherever you find that it's going to be the best for you. The same with the sizing. You know, you might find that you only need, this one's a little bit shorter, the pink one, or this one I made longer, as I said, because that way then it can wrap around the back of your neck if you wanted to, or for someone with sort of a larger head size. So obviously you can adjust this to whatever size you're needing, whatever size elastic you're working to. Just give yourself an inch, inch and a half extra fabric, so you've got that little bit of give when you want to stretch it out. So I hope you all keep safe and well out there. It is really scary times. If you're in Melbourne, stay home, stay safe, and we can get back to classes hopefully soon. So bye for now.